Hi, my name's Rob Scott from UC Today, bringing you the latest news and conversation from the unified communications and collaboration industry. So today we're going to be talking about anywhere work as a channel partner opportunity. So just like to welcome everyone. So hi everyone, how's things?
Good.
Super, really good. Cheers, Rob.
Good to see you all. And before we get stuck into the conversation, how about we just do a quick round of introductions? And Keith, as our sponsor, would you like to go first?
Yeah, absolutely. Good to be here. So Keith Bartlett, I'm working the UCC division at LogMeIn, and I run the channel business across the EMEA region.
Great, welcome. And Will?
Yeah, so I'm Will Wood. I'm Director of Pre-Sales at DataSharp Integrated Comms. We provide, we're a vendor agnostic solution provider in the comms space.
Great, thanks, Will. And Jared?
How's it going? Yeah, I'm Jared Huet. I am CTO in Avitor. We're audiovisual and IT distributors in Dublin, Ireland, serving Ireland.
Great. So what a very warm welcome. And, today's an interesting conversation because I'm equally interested to hear from you what that channel partner opportunity is with Anywhere Work. So Keith, really just to set the scene, how's COVID-19 impacted the channel this year from your perspective? Talk us through the highs and lows.
It's a big question to start off with. So I guess looking back, I mean, I've been here just over a year now. Started at the business when things were relatively normal. And then as we transitioned into 2020 and the situation with COVID started to impact, I would say the channel, like most parts of the world, really got caught out with how quick things impacted them, how fast things happened. And I, looking back now, there are some channel partners that maybe could have transitioned quicker with regards to that new way of working, the impact that COVID had on their customers and on their partners from the likes of Avitor. So, believe it or not, even in the IT world, people were put on furlough. Portfolios were seen as very office centric. And with all those types of things being impacted, those resellers suffered a little bit. But in saying that, there are lots of resellers out there, lots of channel partners out there who are very quick to change and adapt. And those guys have been super successful over the last several months. And that's impacted our revenues accordingly. I mean, we've had record revenues. So it's been a good time, tough time, but a very busy time. And I would say that's across the whole of the channel community. What's your thoughts, Will?
So I would say that from a comms supplier perspective, there's a lot of people out there who maybe are still selling, legacy products, and they're the ones that are suffering the most and are likely to lose their base quite quickly. We're kind of lucky because we're a product agnostic multi-vendor, so we can match solutions to the respective requirements. But it's safe to say that customers are looking to try and sweat existing assets. Therefore, people that can offer a migration path from where they are today to where they want to get to, given all the changes that have happened with suddenly everyone being sent home and having to adapt. Those that can do that are trying to, and there's a lot of vendors out there trying to virtualize and stick stuff up in the cloud, which is one path, or the others that are adapting to change that maybe didn't have a strong cloud offering before are suddenly embracing that, and that I would say is probably how COVID-19 has affected the channel the most. Is just in that shift of maybe dragging people who were left in the old school world into the modern day. And also, I would say, the vendors themselves if vendors don't have a strong cloud offering and they're not attractive to the partners, then they're going to struggle to keep that business going. And there's a big race to develop the platforms as fast as they possibly can, as we've seen across all the different tiers of our industry, whether that's voice or video or security or what have you. Jared, would you agree?
Yeah. So our channels, like we're an AV and IT distributor, so we have a lot of AV companies that we were working with and a lot of managed IT providers. Our AV guys, the event guys, just got decimated. Their businesses evaporated overnight. Some of them have just adapted on that and they've turned themselves into virtual event providers, but they had no experience selling cloud services. So that's where working with LogMeIn and GoTo has helped them provide that. Our normal AV guys, our integrators, again, installations frozen for a while, but it's starting to come back. But they really saw the cloud service as something that the end user would buy direct, and saw no value in providing a service. But by introducing them to the LogMeIn range, we can show them a decent margin solution that turns an existing customer that they might have sold a couple of webcams to into a lifetime partner for decent opportunities. Then on the IT side, so our IT managed service providers, they were kind of just using the free tools that they were given. So they might have been an Office 365 partner and using the free video tools there, which was good day one to get everyone up and running when everyone didn't know what to do. But as it went on, they realized it wasn't meeting the needs and they needed a dedicated solution from a company with the experience such as LogMeIn. And that's grown. That's been our biggest growth area. So there's been a few companies, unfortunately, fallen by the wayside. They may not come back, but anyone who has adapted and taken on these new products kind of has they might have record years, which is an embarrassing problem to have in the day and age, but that's what we want. We all want to be standing strong next year. Some will do it, but some we've lost.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And, anywhere work, remote working, home working, whatever you want to call it, is a huge opportunity right now, isn't it? And going into 2021, that opportunity is not going to go away. So I'm interested to hear, maybe Keith, you can take this one first, what you're seeing in terms of end customer behavior. I know everyone raced out and joined a cloud service, cloud communications or cloud video conferencing service. But, was that a sticky plaster? Are they now looking at longer term solutions? What's happening out there right now?
Yeah, again, that's a good point. Lots of the channel community went out. If they weren't or didn't have this particular product set in their portfolio, they got it very quickly. Whether it's GoToMeeting or WebEx or Zoom or Teams, they developed a strategy to sell that type of technology really quickly as the impact of COVID was first felt. But what I would say is today, lots of the resellers that I talk to, they're having conversations with their customers about that long-term approach, as you say. And what that means in terms of going back to the office. Do they need offices? Do they repurpose their office space? And subsequently, that then impacts how those companies are developing and growing. So I'll give you an example. We ourselves are a relatively young organization. We've got a young demographic of employer. So you imagine having to coach and train those people. So you have a middle management layer that if we were a company that had bought into Zoom, how would you expect our middle managers to coach, mentor, train those youngsters straight out of university on their second jobs? Using that type of technology, you can't do that. So you need a more sort of robust, integrated UCaaS service where you can do things like silent coaching, silent whispering, helping those guys develop their careers, which is very, very important. It was a big miss, I think, as the initial impact was felt and the initial solutions, those sticking plasters, were put in place. Now people are starting to think more long term, and how the solutions that they offer their customers are going to help those customers develop going forward.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I was thinking about this recently around the choices that companies made when the pandemic hit. They didn't all run out and sign up to a cloud communications platform if they had an on-premise solution. They actually, most of them went for video conferencing style solutions, which was really interesting to see. So, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, I would just say on that was predominantly, I guess, all about customer, right? Just making sure you can communicate with customers and yourself, not thinking about the whole picture, like I say.
Sorry, the thing I was just thinking there is that the whole sticky plaster analogy, I think, is really relevant, because a lot of customers, and I think a lot of customers were hoping it was going to be a sticky plaster because no one knew how long it was going to last. It might have been a quick turnaround and rates went down, and in terms of COVID, and then people come out the other side and straight back to normal life. But that really hasn't happened, and still nobody knows how long it's going to last. So we saw it kind of as three key stages. The first one was cope, right? You had to send everyone home, and they had to deal with the change, and IT departments were told to put something in place. And so overnight, suddenly, all of this new technology came around, and people were extremely accepting of it because they had to. And it was almost like an IT department's worst nightmare and ideal situation, because suddenly everyone there was no judgment of whether or not it worked well or not. It just had to provide a service. But then you quickly went from that first phase of coping with it to the second phase of trying to improve it over the coming few months, which I think we're kind of past now, where, for the most part, where people have moved on to the next phase, which is to evolve beyond that and say, this is a much longer term situation. We can't have this sticky plaster. Or if we did put a sticky plaster on, we need to put something a lot better in place. So let's get more strategic. Let's think about what happens next. And I think it's safe to say there were some businesses out there that were extremely well positioned to cope when COVID-19 hit. They were already there. They were already doing it or set up for it. Some others really weren't, and the variety in between. But yeah, I would definitely suggest that the sticky plaster piece is a memory now. I think people are having to take us very, very seriously and think about the future.
Great, Jared, do you want to jump in on that?
Yeah, no, to reiterate that, yeah, we saw like the first phase was just use what you have or use what you can get quick. A lot of shadow IT. I think WhatsApp saved everyone. People went out signed up for free tools that kind of thought they did the job, maybe more suited to B2C. And then I think when the builds started coming in, and we're a little bit behind because we're about to go into lockdown 2 possibly here in Dublin. When people saw the bills, they might be paying for 3 or 4 services that all did the same thing. Big one would be old legacy phone systems that they'll probably never need again. And now they're at the stage now they're trying to maybe get down to 1, maybe 2 providers of a system, and put if they leverage the benefit of having a single provider that can provide the bulk of it. The opportunity there for our reseller network is that we have companies that never did phone systems, and they're being asked for phone systems now because people see video as being the phone system. But with the likes of the GoTo Connect, it is a full-on cloud PBX. And our guys, like our reseller base, go, no, they were saying no to it at the start. They go, no, we don't do phone systems. And we're like, guys, you do. You have access to this product. Here's what it looks like. This is how easy it is to set up. Because people are used to adding new users, like into Gmail like systems. But they thought phone system was a black art. It's not. Now it's all in the cloud. Now it's simple. If you have $1 billion company behind you, it's going to work. You have multiple data centers. And we are now saying to people, get all your bills together, have a look at them, find out what the total spend is, get that down to 2 providers, and our channel can take a decent chunk of that and keep the customer happy with a proper solution. So stage 3 for us is probably a bit away, but we can't see stage 2 going for a while. It's still people working the way we are, working from home, maybe fewer people back in the office or back in the office for purpose, for maybe a purposeful meeting that you have to be face to face and in the flesh. But the majority of stuff is going to be like this. People working remotely, collaborating remotely, but using decent systems that aren't going to let them down and not wasting money on 10 services that you might not need to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know we all want to see the end of this pandemic, but you're absolutely right. We do not know when that's going to happen. So therefore, opportunity, without sounding opportunistic, there is lots of opportunity for the channel partner right now, because I imagine with that uncertainty, there's a lot of organizations looking to make decisions. So just taking it on to the decision-making kind of piece, Will, I was keen to kind of ask you and everyone else chime in on this, but in terms of what advice are you giving your customers, the end customer, in terms of what mindset, how should they approach, looking at these services now in this stage?
So I would say in terms of advice, we're saying try not to confuse the users, because they're dealing with an enormous amount of change anyway. The less things they can have to suddenly take on, the better. I would say, from a business perspective, though, it's safe to say that there are some enormous rewards out there for businesses who can master this new way of working, that can adapt to the anywhere working piece. Obviously, premises costs, right, is one big area that people can save on. Allowing for a greater geographical spread of staff, because if they're working from home, they don't have to be immediately around the office. That has a big benefit in itself. And that, allowing remote working, home working can improve things like staff retention. So, I think, our major piece of advice is just to think about the staff, think about what's being deployed, and think about the culture that comes with that. And the cultural impact that has on the sort of, the work-life balance improvements, hopefully. Because actually, bearing in mind, that's not necessarily the same for everybody. You've got some people, execs have got lovely homes with big gardens in their own office, and they're enjoying having this nice space. Whereas you've got the youth contingent who might still be living with mum and dad, sat cross-legged on the bed with a laptop, really not enjoying the fact that they're cooped up. And that is a big behavioral and cultural challenge that companies have to deal with. I would say, have the right tools. Try not to confuse the users, and keep it simple, really.
Yeah, so it's great advice. Anyone else on that one, or it's
my one would be just lead by example. Like I've sold video conferencing 10, 15 years, and the amount of big name video conferencing companies that would have a phone meeting with you or want to come see you in person was insane. Whereas I'm a big believer, if you're selling the product, use the product, show them that you're using it day to day. So our customers are a reseller. So we do GoTo calls with all our resellers, and it doesn't have to be an hour call. That's another thing. People book hour meetings. It can be a 15-minute video call just to check in. With COVID, the big issue was just anyone I spoke to, like, you might not even be selling to them, just chatting to them, having a conversation, showing them that technology works. But people would talk for hours if you let them, but use the systems. So a lot of our new resellers came by, what's the system you're using? Oh, we're using GoTo. Well, how does it work? Oh, well, it's like X, but it's a product we sell. We're a distributor of it. It's good margin in it. It works. It's a huge company. And we are trying to convince them to then pass it on to, it's like train the trainer. We train our resellers that then in turn use this to engage with their end users. And it works. If you are a champion of something you're selling, you should be using it daily and showing your customers you're using it. Yeah.
Well, that leads me nicely on to my final question. But so how, Jared, maybe you could take this one first. How has LogMeIn and the GoTo team helped your organization?
Yes. So coming back to the phone systems. So the phone system requires our resellers are getting that we're leaving money on the table or passing to another partner. LogMeIn, like we said, I've had the problem with some of our guys. They say they don't have time to learn how to sell a new product. Whereas with LogMeIn and their sales team, because they're fully channel driven, I'm saying to guys, just get the opportunity on the table, have a call with our sales or your LogMeIn account manager, and let them talk to your customer. And I've had a couple of experiences where an inquiry's come in from the web. It's a 2-minute call from the reseller, kicked over to LogMeIn, who drove the sale, closed it, and they're making 5, 6, 7K commission in a year. So I've never seen another vendor do that, and I'm in the business for 15 years.
And Will, from your perspective, how's LogMeIn helped you?
We came to LogMeIn to fill a specific hole in our portfolio, to be honest with you, because it became evident that suddenly businesses that were used to holding events couldn't do that anymore, and so they needed an event platform. And so it was specifically to look at the GoTo webinar and GoTo training and GoTo from the video side of things, video and event management. And obviously, that widens out into other conversations. But yeah, we just had a really, really good experience of initial engagement, and as Jared mentioned, just from starting a conversation to it becoming a reality and a sale, that was really positive. And also from other angles, that I didn't realize that that LogMeIn owned things like LastPass, and suddenly there's a door open there for a product that we've used for years and years and years, and never really even considered that it was something we could resell, right? So so from our perspective, it's nice to engage with some nice people, because life's too short to have to deal with annoying folk, right? So and yeah, really, really good initial engagement and some nice folk along the way.
Just also drop in. I don't know, it's a little known secret, but the LogMeIn have an amazing tender team. So if you have any projects, again, most of our resellers, tenders are a bugbear because the amount of work you have to put into them. There's some big opportunities there in LogMeIn. I think they have a team of 10 people that will work a tender with you, for you. Once you recognize the opportunity to them first, and it's pretty powerful what they can do, and they can take all the heavy lifting off. You get your company information, but they'll do the tender response for you, and it's something well worth using for some of the big tenders, because people are now, there's some tenders that weren't announced during COVID, but they've now realized that the bigger companies or the government agencies now have to go to tender for these services. So they might have started with what they have, but now they have to formalize it, and LogMeIn can help you win that business without you having to type your own resources.
Well, it's really great to hear. Keith, you sounds like you're offering a fabulous service over there. What's the best way for channel partners to get in touch that are maybe interested in working with you?
Yeah, so we obviously have a connect with us approach through the website. Obviously, search me out on LinkedIn, right? Search the channel team out on LinkedIn. But it's very straightforward to connect using multiple different methods. Predominantly the website is just a standard form, as most vendors have. But I think it's great to hear how great we are to partner with. We're not perfect. That sounded like we were perfect. We're not perfect. There's things that we need to work on. But what I would say is, when we do engage with a prospective partner and we talk about what we do follow that through, right? That's absolutely critical. We don't blow smoke and then don't deliver. That doesn't form long-term strategic relationships, which is what we're about.
Yes, indeed. I mean, you've got quite a comprehensive portfolio over there now, haven't you? Especially within the GoTo suite. You've got the cloud PBX, the collaboration piece, everything in there. So how easy is that to onboard? I mean, does it take long for a channel partner to come on board and kind of get up to speed with everything?
Well, I guess ask these guys. I mean, not really. I think, as Jared said, we've got a sales team, high touch sales team, and a channel team that supports the sales cycle. Partners can work with us in different ways. Whether they want us to take the lead in a sales cycle, we predominantly don't like that. We like to work with our partners. They own the customer. They own the customer relationship. They own that prospect, and we work pretty closely, right? But we get led by the partner. It's their decision how they want us to work with them.
So it's been great to see everyone. I really hope you've enjoyed today's talk.
Oh, thanks, Rob.
Yeah, good to see you, Rob. Thanks for that.
It's always appreciated. And that's it from us. If you've enjoyed today's session, please do give us a quick like or a share on social media. It's always appreciated. But I'm Rob Scott. Thanks for watching.